Good morning, everyone. We are the Group 9 and we are tasked to discuss the Lesson 3, the religious response, the role of religion in ethics. So at the end of this lesson, we will be able to differentiate ethics from religion and explain the role of religion in ethics. So there are several articles uploaded on the internet that state ethics or morality is possible without God. That even if one does not believe in God, he can still be ethical. As to how true these statements are, this is what we will be able to see at the end of this lesson. So we all know that ethics is concerned with what is good and moral based on reason. On the other hand, religion is also concerned about what is moral based on God's revelation. So, religion is not contrary to ethics. In fact, religion is in support of ethics. So, we have here a question. Is ethics possible without religion? Possible ba ang ethics without religion? To an author, Sim Kwang Yang, if the question is one on a matter of fact, his answer is a resounding yes. His reason is that siya'y reason kung anong ethics is possible without religion. According to him, two great philosophers, namely Socrates and Confucius, expounded their ethics without recourse to any supernatural being. So, ang first reason ni Sim Kwang Yang kung anong ethics is possible without religion is that the other two great philosophers, namely Socrates and Confucius, that have presented and explained their ethics without a resort of help to any supernatural being. Likewise, si Sim Kwang Yang also cites two modern period philosophers, the utilitarianist Jeremy Bentham and John Stuart Mill, who also dealt with their ethical theories without appealing it to the existence of God. So, just like Socrates and Confucius, kaning two modern period philosophers, namely Jeremy Bentham and John Stuart Mill, nagdeal pod sila with their ethical theories without associating it to the existence of God, just like Confucius of Socrates. Thus, as a matter of fact, there has been such a thing which may be termed as religionless ethics or morality. So, katudong mga person nga walay religion, ang term daw ato nila, according to Sim Kwang Yang, kay religionless ethics or morality. Next. But for Sim Kwang Yang, if the question is, can ethics without religion be justified ultimately? If ang question kay ang ethic without religion, ma-reason out ba siya or mapangatwiranan ba siya ultimately? Ang iyahang answer would be no. Kay according to him, I quote si Dostoevsky, which is, if God does not exist, then everything is permissible. If wala daw ga-exist si God, pwede daw ang tanan. Like, pwede nato buhaton ang tanan. Like, pwede ta mapatay, pwede ta mangawat, and everything. But not everything is permitted. Dili tanan pwede natong buhaton. Therefore, according to him, God exists. There is moral restraint among individuals, and there is moral restraint among people in society because there is in them a voice telling them to behave. So, naay God because naay moral restraint. Naay nagapugong sa atoa, sa atoang mga individuals, sa mga tao nga dili buhaton ng usa ka butang because naay voice na nagaingon sa atua na dili nato na siya pwede buhaton kasi that is not good, or naay inner voice nagaingon sa atua nga magbehave ta. Like for example, for me, ako sometimes makahunahon na ako og ganang during exam, makahunahon na ako maghimo og kodigo. But because naay kanang inner voice nagaingon sa ako ang dili jud siya nako dapat buhaton, and that is the moral restraint that we are talking in here. And then that is the reason kung anong nag-exist jud si God. Next is Charles Taliaferro echoes in his philosophy of religion Dostoevsky's moral argument for theism. So kani si Charles Taliaferro, iyang gi-reverberate sa iyahang philosophy of religion ang moral argument for theism ni Dostoevsky. It states here that certain features of human moral experience are best accommodated on a theistic worldview. So naday mga specific features of human moral experience nga best maprovidean ang explanation gamit ang theistic worldview. In particular, the common claim is that moral realism calls for theistic metaphysical or epistemological underpinnings. Kaning, by the way, ang theistic metaphysical na ay study ani si Thomas Aquinas, wherein ang subject is si God. And kaning epistemological underpinnings, mo ni siya ang theory of knowledge. It is one's philosophical assumptions, beliefs, and theories about the nature and limits of knowledge and its acquisition. So, ang example aning metaphysical or epistemological underpinnings is that if there is no God, there are objective moral requirements that are not possibly met, namely, that the moral good of virtue and natural good of happiness embrace and become perfect in the highest good. So, kung wala day God, na day moral requirements nga na dili possible dili ma-meet. And those are the moral good of virtue ug ang natural good of happiness. And if dili siya ma-meet ang even one dili ma-meet ang kaning both, or one ra ang ma-meet, dili nato ma-embrace ang highest good, or dili nato ma-attain or ma-perfect ang highest good. Next, the early 20th century idealist philosopher Hastings Rushdal and W.R. Searle argued that an objective moral law requires an infinite mind in which to reside if it is to have full ontological status. Ontological status is it seeks classification and explanation of entities. So kani si Hastings Rushdal and W.R. Searle na sila argument na an objective moral law nag-require of infinite mind in which nagapuyo na naay full classification and explanation of entities, which is the ontological status. Next is C.S. Lewis. C.S. Lewis argued that conscience reveals to us a moral law whose source cannot be formed in the natural world, thus pointing to a supernatural lawgiver. Si C.S. Lewis napod siya argument nga ang conscience daw, or ang konsensya natong mga tao, dili daw siya ma-reveal kanang as a moral law, nga dili daw siya ma-reveal if ang source ra niya if pangitaon ang source niya sa natural world, dili siya makit-an. Ang konsensya daw natong mga tao dili daw if pangitaon nato ang source sa atong conscience, dili daw siya makitaan or makita sa natural world. Thus, therefore, na siya conclusion nga iyahang gi-point ang ato ang conscience sa supernatural lawgiver. He believed nga naa gihapoy Ginoo. Naa like other philosophers na si C.S. Lewis nagtuosad nga na ay lawgiver which is our God. Next, philosopher Robert Adams has argued that moral obligation is best explained by appeal to the commands of a loving God, and moral values in general may be thought to reflect God's nature. So si philosopher Robert Adams po, napos siya argument na moral obligation, mas ma-explain daw ang moral obligation if i-associate nato siya sa commands of God. And moral virtues in general may be thought to reflect God's nature. So kato sila na mga na-mention nga mga name nga philosophers, mao to siya explanation kung anong ethics without religion cannot be justified ultimately. So kailangan jud ang ethics na ay religion for it to be justified ultimately. And the next report will be discussed by my group mates Franny and Nina.